My son Michael had organized a family reunion in Hawaii, complete with his sister, her kids, and even his ex-wife, but somehow forgot to include his own mother. That gut-wrenching moment of betrayal became the catalyst for the most satisfying lesson I've ever taught my successful lawyer son, and let me tell you, the receipt I sent him changed everything. Before we continue, leave a comment telling me where you're watching from, and if you've ever felt invisible in your own family. Make sure you hit subscribe because the way this story unfolds will give you hope again. They say blood is thicker than water. But sometimes family needs a reminder that you can't just erase the person who sacrificed everything to raise you. This is how I, Barbara Mitchell, at 65 years old, discovered that being overlooked was actually the gift that led me to reclaim my worth and teach my son a lesson he'll never forget. I was born Barbara Ann Rodriguez in the fall of 1959 in a close-knit neighborhood of Phoenix, Arizona. The old aluminum awnings and wrought-iron window boxes on our small bungalow spoke to my mother's determination to make beauty from whatever resources we had. My mother, Carmen Rodriguez, worked as a seamstress from our converted garage, which she had transformed into a tiny workshop with an old Singer sewing machine and rows of thread spools arranged by color. My father, Ernesto, managed the inventory at Jimenez Hardware Store, where he'd worked for 17 years. Our house sat on a corner lot, shaded by an ancient mesquite tree that my father had carefully nursed through each summer's scorching heat. The property boasted 4 citrus trees, 2 orange, a lemon, and a grapefruit, that my father had planted as saplings the year they bought the house, saying they would produce fruit for generations of family gatherings to come. Every Sunday, our small backyard transformed into a gathering place for cousins, aunts, uncles, and neighbors who had become like family. My mother would set up card tables covered with plastic cloths printed with desert flowers, while my father presided over the barbecue, an old metal barrel he'd converted himself. The air would fill with the scents of carne asada, fresh tortillas, and whatever fruit was in season. Success isn't measured by your address, Mia, but by who shows up when you need them, my mother would say as she taught me to embroider. Her calloused fingers, rough from years of pushing needles through heavy fabric, would guide mine as we worked on pillowcases or dresser scarves. I learned that true wealth wasn't in things, but in relationships built with care and reciprocity. Our neighborhood was a tapestry of working-class families, Mexican Americans like us, some black families who'd moved during the war to work in the defense plants, and white families who'd lived there for generations. Mrs. Sullivan next door had buried her husband in '67 and baked coffee cakes that she'd leave on porches wrapped in tea towels. The Johnsons across the street had 7 children, and their oldest, Margaret, became my first babysitting client when I was 12. I was the middle child of 3. My older brother Miguel had already left for the army, and my younger sister, Linda, was still in pigtails, always following me around with questions. Our house, though small, was meticulously maintained. My mother had saved for months to buy wallpaper for the living room, a pattern of tiny roses that she hung herself, learning from library books. My father built most of our furniture, proud pieces that might not have matched but were solid and comfortable. School was my passport out of potential poverty. I excelled in mathematics, finding comfort in the certainty of numbers that behaved predictably, unlike the emotional complexities of family life as a teenager. My father would sit with me at the kitchen table each night after dinner, helping with homework despite his own limited education. In America, education is how you change your stars, he'd say, tracing equations with a pencil worn down to a stub. By high school, I was elected treasurer of the student council, a position that required me to handle the complexities of fundraising, budgets, and event planning. My math teacher, Mr. Hoffman, encouraged me to take business classes and consider accounting or banking. "Barbara, you have a head for numbers and a heart for people. That's rare," he told me during one of our after-school sessions when I was preparing for college entrance exams. My high school years were filled with typical teenage moments. My first dance with Tommy Vargas, who stepped on my feet the entire time. The devastating rejection when I wasn't chosen for the homecoming court, though secretly I was relieved. The pride of graduating third in my class with a scholarship to Phoenix College. I met James Mitchell during my first semester of college, where I was studying business administration while working part-time as a bank teller at Valley First. He was a construction foreman, 3 years older than me, with the confident swagger of a man who knew his worth came from his hands rather than a diploma. Valley First was located on Central Avenue, a grand building with marble floors and high ceilings that made even the smallest transactions feel important. I had just been promoted from the trainee window to handling customer accounts, a position that terrified and thrilled me. I wore my navy blue dress with white collar, my hair pinned back neatly, trying to look older than my 19 years. James came in every Friday afternoon to cash his crew's paychecks. He was tall and broad-shouldered, with sun-weathered skin and hands permanently stained with construction dust that no amount of scrubbing could remove. But his eyes, deep brown and startlingly gentle, drew my attention every time he approached my window. One Friday in March 1980, we literally collided in the branch parking lot. I was rushing to clock in after a car wouldn't start that morning, my books and papers clutched to my chest. He was jogging from his work truck, late for his appointment with the loan officer. "I'm so sorry," I exclaimed, gathering my scattered papers while trying to maintain some dignity in my sensible heels and the required blazer that felt too big on my petite frame. My business textbook lay spine up in a puddle, and my carefully prepared notes for that afternoon's exam were scattered across the asphalt. No, my fault entirely," he said, his deep voice gentle despite his imposing presence. His large hands gathered my papers with surprising care, ordering them by their torn edges. "Late meetings make me careless. I'm James Mitchell." "Barbara," I replied, meeting his steady gaze for the first time up close. "But everyone calls me Barb." A smile transformed his rugged face. "Barb? Like the points on wire fences. But you don't seem sharp at all." I laughed despite my embarrassment. "Just wait. You haven't seen me reject a loan application yet." He handed me my sodden textbook and the papers he'd collected. "Guess I better hope I don't need one anytime soon." That rushed encounter led to coffee during my lunch breaks at Mel's Diner across from the bank. Our first conversation lasted the entire 30 minutes, as I learned he ran a small construction crew specializing in home renovations, that he'd learned the trade from his stepfather after his own father died when he was 8, that he had 2 sisters he supported, and a mother who made the best pecan pie in Arizona. Saturday drives followed, his pickup truck filled with the scent of sawdust and possibility as we explored the outskirts of Phoenix. He showed me projects he'd worked on, a medical office he'd helped frame, houses he'd remodeled, pointing out details with pride. "See that trim around the windows? We milled that ourselves. And those roof rafters? Each one cut by hand to match. The original 1920s design." I brought him to Sunday dinners where my mother immediately adopted him, impressed by his appetite and his manners. My father tested him with questions about construction that James answered readily, demonstrating knowledge that earned Dad's respect. After 6 months of dating, James proposed during one of our Saturday drives, pulling over at a scenic overlook that showed the valley spread out below us. The ring was a simple gold band he'd crafted himself during lunch breaks, hammering and polishing in his workshop. "May not be a diamond from some fancy store," he apologized, his confidence wavering for the first time since I'd known him. "I know girls expect these things to be more impressive, but I made it with my own hands, shaped it to fit you perfectly." Looking into his earnest eyes, I knew handmade meant infinitely more than store-bought. "It's perfect," I whispered, watching him slide it onto my finger. "Just like you." We married in August 1982 in the chapel where my parents had wed 25 years earlier. My wedding dress was pale yellow, a break from tradition since I was already 23 and considered older for a first bride. My mother had sewn it from silk she found on clearance, adding hand-embroidered flowers along the hem. James wore his best suit, freshly pressed, with a bolo tie he'd made from turquoise his grandfather had mined in the Arizona desert. His sisters served as bridesmaids while my sister Linda was my maid of honor. His best man was Carlos Mendoza, his foreman and closest friend since their teenagers apprenticing together. Our reception was in my parents' backyard, transformed with string lights my father had wired himself and tables borrowed from the church social hall. James's crew had built a dance platform, and his sister's husband DJ'd with records and an old sound system. We served enchiladas, tamales, and barbecue prepared by both families working together since dawn. The sweet scent of orange blossoms filled the August evening as we danced to Stand By Me. I changed my name to Barbara Mitchell, though many neighbors still called me Barbara Rodriguez, a connection to roots I treasured rather than escaped. James understood this, had grown up in a neighborhood much like mine, valued the same things: family, hard work, loyalty, community. We started our marriage in a starter home on the outskirts of Phoenix, a modest 2-bedroom bungalow with character, but desperate need of attention. James had gotten it at a discount from a client who'd inherited it, but lived out of state. Needs work, but the bones are good, he'd assured me when we toured it. The foundation was solid, the roof recent, but every surface needed refinishing, painting, or replacement. Our furniture was a mix of family hand-me-downs and second-hand store finds that we refinished together. Weekends became projects: stripping, layers of paint from a dining table to reveal rich oak beneath, reupholstering an old sofa with remnant fabric found at half price. James built bookshelves from reclaimed lumber, crafted our headboard from salvaged wood, installed cabinets he'd made in his home workshop. I continued working at the bank while taking night classes to finish my business degree. James's construction business grew slowly but steadily, moving from small repair jobs to whole kitchen renovations. We saved aggressively, living on one income as much as possible, banking mine for the future we envisioned: a house with a real yard for children to play in, college funds we'd start early, family vacations. These early years were tight financially, but abundant in other ways. We found joy in simple pleasures: Sunday drives to the mountains where we'd pack sandwiches and apples to eat by streams, board game nights with his crew and their wives, weekend projects that slowly transformed our house from purchase to home. We hosted friends for potluck dinners, contributed to church functions, helped neighbors with home repairs. When our peers were buying new cars on credit, vacationing in luxury resorts, and accumulating debt, we maintained focus on long-term financial stability. James refused to overbid on jobs just to win them. Better to make a small honest profit than a big questionable one, he'd say. I studied finance books borrowed from the library, learning about investment, savings accounts, mortgages, and fiscal responsibility. We were building not just a life, but a foundation for generations to come. Every dollar saved, every debt avoided, every skill James learned and taught to his crew members represented security being constructed brick by brick, dollar by dollar. By 1984, with James's business established enough to secure consistent contracts and my position at the bank advancing to junior loan officer, we felt ready for the next chapter: parenthood. The announcement came during Sunday dinner at my parents' house. My mother cried with joy, immediately beginning plans for a nursery. My father toasted the next generation of Rodriguez Mitchells with his Sunday beer. James's sisters offered baby clothes saved from their own children. Michael Ryan Mitchell arrived on October 15, 1984, at Phoenix Memorial Hospital after 16 hours of labor. James refused to leave my side, except when nurses forced him out, pacing the waiting room and calling my parents hourly despite their protests about the hour. "Look at him, Barb," James whispered when nurses finally placed our son in his arms. Tears streamed unabashedly down his face as he examined every detail: the tiny fingernails, the shock of dark hair, the button nose. "He's perfect." Michael had my expressive eyes and James's determined jawline. From his earliest days, he showed remarkable focus and intensity. As an infant, he would stare at objects for hours, studying their shapes and movements. When he learned to reach for toys, his movements were precise, calculated, successful. His first word wasn't mama or dada, but why, a questioning spirit that would define his personality. By 18 months, he was combining words into questions. Why sky blue? Why dog bark? Why daddy go? His curiosity seemed insatiable, pushing us to provide explanations that satisfied his sharp mind. By age 3, Michael displayed unusual mathematical ability. He could count beyond 20, recognize written numbers, and even grasp basic addition concepts when playing with blocks. He organized his toy cars by size, color, and type with a precision that amazed us. When he built with Legos, he followed instructions perfectly, then created variations without guidance. "This kid's going places," James would say proudly, watching Michael meticulously arrange his dinosaur collection by historical period. "He's got that look in his eye, like he's seeing things differently than everyone else." When Michael was 2, we welcomed Sarah Elizabeth Mitchell, born on a rainy April morning. The contrast between our children was immediate and striking. Where Michael approached the world with intense concentration, Sarah embraced it with pure joy. Where he studied objects, she danced with them. Where he asked, "Why?" she exclaimed, "Wow." Sarah's first steps weren't tentative shuffles, but a full-out run that ended in giggles and tumbles. Her first dance performance was in our living room at age 18 months, spinning to the radio while Michael carefully analyzed the music's rhythm. She painted with abandon while he colored within lines, created stories while he recited facts. "Pure light," my mother called her, watching Sarah make everyone laugh at family gatherings. God gives families what they need, sometimes strong roots, sometimes reaching branches. By 1990, James's construction business had grown substantially. What started as a one-man operation with occasional help had evolved into Mitchell Construction, a proper company with an office in a converted house off Van Buren Street, 3 full-time employees, 2 apprentices, and a reputation for quality residential renovations. James had developed specialties in kitchen and bathroom remodeling, understanding that these spaces sold houses and satisfied homeowners. His crews included Carlos Mendoza as foreman, young Danny Reeves learning electrical work, and Pete Yazzie, whose father had taught him traditional Navajo building techniques that James incorporated into custom projects. James treated them like family, providing steady work, paying above average, offering overtime, and helping them develop their own skills. On major projects, I'd pack lunches for the entire crew, earning loyalty that translated to quality workmanship. With business success came the ability to move to a better neighborhood. We bought a 2-story colonial in North Phoenix, in the newly developing Paradise Valley area. The house had 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a real dining room with built-in cabinets, and, most impressively, a backyard large enough for a garden and James's workshop shed. The neighborhood represented upward mobility, paved sidewalks, mature trees, neighbors who were doctors, teachers, small business owners. Young families filled the streets. Children rode bicycles safely on wide roads with minimal traffic. The public schools ranked among the city's best. James transformed our backyard into a family oasis. He built a large deck with built-in benches, perfect for entertaining. A treehouse nestled in the old cottonwood became the neighborhood headquarters for imaginative play. He installed a rope swing, sandbox, and picnic table. My garden flourished with vegetables and flowers, taught by my mother's patient wisdom, and the Arizona climate's grudging cooperation. Inside, James used his skills to customize. He built breakfast nook benches with hidden storage, installed crown molding throughout, crafted a window seat in Sarah's room where sunlight perfect for reading streamed through lace curtains I'd made. Michael's room featured built-in bookshelves that accommodated his growing library, organized by subject and author. I advanced to assistant manager at Valley First's main branch on Camelback Road. The position required supervising other tellers, approving loans, and managing customer relations. My business degree, finally completed through night classes while raising 2 young children, now proved valuable. The bank promoted from within when possible, and my years of reliability, accuracy, and customer service made me an obvious choice. Our routine established itself around family values. Friday nights became sacred. Homemade pizza while Michael read facts from his encyclopedia, and Sarah invented stories about the imaginary pizza kingdom. Saturday mornings meant family projects, everyone helping with yard work, cleaning, errands. James taught Michael basic carpentry, measuring and cutting wood for simple projects. Sarah helped me bake, her small hands kneading bread or decorating cookies with more enthusiasm than precision. Saturday afternoons were family time, visits to Phoenix Zoo, hikes at Papago Park, picnics in our backyard, or simply exploring new neighborhoods. James insisted on these adventures. Kids grow up fast, he'd say. We need to give them memories, not just things. Sunday maintained its rhythm. Church at Holy Family Catholic, breakfast at Denny's, our splurge, then family dinner at my parents' house. The grandparents delighted in their growing grandchildren. My father taught Michael chess, praising his strategic thinking. My mother shared recipes with Sarah, who preferred the artistic aspects to the precise measurements. Summers brought the annual Mitchell family road trip. James had saved for months to buy a Ford Explorer, insisting on quality that would handle Arizona highways and family adventures. Our first major trip took us to the Grand Canyon, where Michael collected rocks and Sarah declared herself Princess of the Canyon. State parks, camping trips to Oak Creek Canyon, and a memorable journey to San Diego filled subsequent summers. During one August road trip to Mount Rushmore, 8-year-old Michael spent the entire drive reading aloud from a borrowed library book about the monument's construction. Dad, did you know each face is 60 feet tall, and they use dynamite for 90% of the carving? His mind absorbed and retained facts effortlessly. Sarah, 6, responded by creating an elaborate story about 4 giant mothers who got their faces carved into rock because they made the best cookies in the world. And they watch over all the children who visit, making sure they don't get lost. James caught my eye in the rearview mirror, smiling. Our children, so different yet both extraordinary, represented everything we'd worked for and dreamed of. One future scientist or professor, one future artist or performer, both growing up with security we'd carefully constructed, values we'd consciously instilled. Education became our family's cornerstone as the children advanced through school. Michael excelled effortlessly, consistently earning the highest grades while participating in debate club, chess team, and eventually student council. Teachers praised his maturity, analytical thinking, and ability to articulate complex ideas clearly. By middle school, he was already discussing plans for college, talking about Stanford or Harvard with a casual confidence that both impressed and worried me. Sarah's talents manifested differently, but no less remarkably. She auditioned for Community, theater productions, winning roles despite being one of the younger participants. She excelled in art classes, her paintings and sculptures displaying intuitive understanding of form and color. Her elementary school teachers created special projects to challenge her creativity while accommodating her complete disregard for conventional worksheets. James's construction business continued expanding. By 1995, he employed 6 full-time workers and contracted specialists for electrical, plumbing, and landscaping. His reputation for quality work and fair dealing brought steady referrals. He incorporated officially, opened business accounts at my bank branch, and qualified for equipment loans that allowed purchase of a second truck and professional tools. You should be doing commercial work, Danny Reeves suggested during one coffee break. Shopping centers, office buildings, that's where the real money is. But James preferred residential projects. Commercial work is different, he'd explain. Homes are personal. When I finish someone's kitchen, I see their family gather there. When I remodel a bathroom, I imagine kids splashing in that tub. It matters more to me. His integrity became legendary. When he discovered structural issues during renovations, he informed clients honestly, even when it meant reduced profits. When supply costs increased unexpectedly, he absorbed differences rather than nickel-and-diming customers. When projects ran long due to weather or complications, he often didn't charge overtime. Repeat business and referrals come from doing right, he maintained. Quick profits disappear, but reputation lasts generations. By Michael's high school years, his academic trajectory seemed predetermined. Teachers recommended advanced placement classes in mathematics, science, and economics. He scored in the 99th percentile on practice SATs as a sophomore. College recruiters began appearing at parent-teacher conferences, suggesting summer programs and early admission possibilities. "I want to be a lawyer," Michael announced one dinner in his junior year, his certainty absolute. "Corporate law, probably, or constitutional, something that makes a real difference in society." Sarah rolled her eyes dramatically. "You just want to argue for a living." "Arguing with purpose," Michael corrected. "Using logic and reason to protect rights, influence policy, change systems that don't work." James caught my glance across the table. Our son's ambition both pleased and concerned us. We'd sacrificed so he could have opportunities we hadn't imagined, but success was changing him in subtle ways. His confidence bordering on entitlement, his goals focusing increasingly on prestige and power, rather than community and service. "Just remember where you come from, son," James said gently. "Success means helping others climb, too, not just reaching the top yourself." Sarah's path diverged intentionally from Michael's structured ambition. In high school, she excelled in arts programs, won a National Scholastic Art Award for a multimedia piece titled Desert Voices, and organized a student art show that raised funds for the school's music program. College applications included art schools, Rhode Island School of Design, California Institute of the Arts, Savannah College of Art and Design. "You could get into any university," Michael argued during a particularly heated dinner discussion. "You're smart enough. Why limit yourself to these specialized schools?" "Because," Sarah explained patiently, "not everyone's life is about proving they're the smartest person in the room. Some of us want to create beauty, tell stories, make people feel something. Their different values surfaced in countless small moments." When our elderly neighbor Mrs. Kowalski needed help after hip surgery, Sarah organized a food rotation and visited daily to keep her company. Michael researched medical care options, financial assistance programs, and structured a plan for long-term support. Both helped, but through different lenses, Sarah through emotional connection, Michael through systematic problem-solving. James's health began showing signs of wear around his 50th birthday. Decades of physical labor left marks: creaking, knees, stiff shoulders, hands showing early arthritis. Doctor visits became more frequent. He'd worked construction since age 16, and the cumulative toll was measurable. When winter cold made mornings particularly painful, I'd watch him hide winces while tying boots, pretending vigor he no longer possessed. "Maybe it's time to step back from site work," I suggested one evening after finding him soaking swollen hands in warm water. "You could hire a site manager, focus on estimates and customer relations." "What's a general contractor who doesn't get his hands dirty?" he protested. "My crew needs to see me out there, doing the work beside them." But practicality eventually won. He promoted Danny to site supervisor, focusing his own time on planning, ordering, and client consultation. His experienced eye could spot problems others missed. His relationships secured better supply deals. His reputation attracted higher-end clients willing to pay for Mitchell Construction's guaranteed quality. The business transformed under this arrangement. James secured several prestigious renovation projects in Scottsdale's established neighborhoods, mid-century modern homes requiring careful restoration, historical properties needing period-appropriate updates. These projects commanded higher fees, allowed for more worker overtime, and enhanced the company's reputation further. By 2004, both our children had graduated from their respective educational paths. Michael from Phoenix Law School, turning down offers from more prestigious institutions because Arizona State's scholarship package would avoid debt. Sarah from the Savannah College of Art and Design, where her thesis project, an installation about water usage and desert survival, received recognition and modest gallery interest. Professional life followed different arcs. Michael joined Hastings & Morrison, one of Phoenix's most prestigious law firms, starting in their litigation department. His analytical skills impressed partners quickly. Within 3 years, he was managing major cases, earning early promotion to senior associate. His specialty became complex commercial litigation, where his ability to synthesize massive amounts of information proved invaluable. Sarah returned to Phoenix and established herself in the local art community. Her first solo exhibition, Desert Metamorphosis, explored environmental challenges facing the Southwest through mixed media. Commissions followed: a public sculpture for Phoenix Sky Harbor Airport, murals for local businesses, installations for corporate collections. She taught classes at the community center where I'd once taken children for art sessions. Michael met Andrea during his 4th year at Hastings & Morrison. She was opposing counsel on a corporate merger, equally ambitious, equally polished, equally driven. Their courtship felt more like a merger itself. Compatible goals, aligned values, shared circle of professional associates. They moved through relationship milestones efficiently. 6 months dating, engagement, wedding planning executed with same precision as legal briefs. Their wedding in 2008 epitomized their lifestyle. Elegant ballroom reception at the Phoenician Resort, professional photography, designer dress, expensive details throughout. James and I paid traditionally for half, watching our boy, now 34, successful, sophisticated, marry into a world far beyond our working-class origins. Andrea came from old Phoenix money. Her father, a district court judge, her mother on the boards of multiple charities. Her childhood home in Biltmore Estates dwarfed our comfortable suburban house. Her wedding gift to Michael was a down payment on a house in Paradise Valley, one of Arizona's most exclusive neighborhoods. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," I told Michael, privately when he showed photos of their new home during Sunday dinner. The house featured 5 bedrooms, a gourmet kitchen, infinity pool, and mountain views. "But will you still come for Sunday dinner?" He hesitated, a pause that spoke volumes. "Of course, Mom. It might not be every week anymore with our schedules, but we'll make it work." Sunday dinners indeed became monthly, then occasional. Work demands, social obligations, charity events filled their calendar. When they visited, conversations shifted to topics unfamiliar: private clubs, vacation homes, investments, personal shoppers, fundraising galas. Sarah married David Chen in 2010, a connection made through the art community where he worked as a photographer specializing in documenting public installations. Their ceremony reflected their values: intimate gathering in Roosevelt Row Art District garden, potluck reception where guests brought favored dishes, handmade decorations, a dress. Sarah sewed herself from vintage fabric. "This is perfect," I whispered to James during the ceremony, watching our daughter glow with genuine happiness. No pretense, no excess, just authentic love celebrated among true community. Their life together maintained creative integrity. They, bought a modest bungalow in a transitioning neighborhood, converting the garage into shared studio space. Sarah's art career balanced commercial commissions with personal projects. David's photography work included editorial assignments, but also documentation of community initiatives, immigrant stories, and environmental projects. When they announced pregnancy in 2012, both sets of parents rejoiced. James converted a portion of his workshop to craft nursery furniture, spending evenings working on a crib, changing table, and rocking chair using sustainable woods. My sewing skills returned creating blankets, clothes, and cloth toys from organic materials. Maya and Isla Mitchell-Chen arrived on a sweltering July afternoon in 2012. Identical twins who immediately displayed distinct personalities. Maya emerged first, crying indignantly at sudden room brightness. Isla followed minutes later, quiet and observant, studying new surroundings with wide eyes. James cried, holding both granddaughters, overcome by the miracle of new life and the stunning realization of generational continuity. But while Sarah's family grew, Michael's remained focused on career advancement. Andrea practiced patent law at another prestigious firm. Their combined incomes supported a lifestyle of international travel, fine dining, designer clothes, and exclusive memberships. Children weren't part of their 5-year plan. Partnership tracks demanded full commitment. "We're in our prime earning years," Michael explained during one of their brief visits. "Building financial security has to come first. Kids can wait." His financial security far exceeded anything James and I had dreamed possible, but his definition seemed to require exponentially higher thresholds. Not just comfortable but wealthy. Not just successful but elite. Not just secure but untouchable. James's health continued declining gradually. Arthritis spread to more joints despite medication and therapy. Lifting became difficult, driving long distances painful. By 2015, at age 62, he reluctantly agreed to sell Mitchell Construction to Danny Reeves, who'd been managing operations for several years. The sale provided comfortable retirement income, supplementing insurance and pensions. "End of an era," Carlos commented at James's retirement party. 46 years building things that last. Count 'em. 46 years since Jimmy started swinging hammers as a teenager. But James struggled with retirement's rhythms. Mornings found him wandering the house, looking for purposes that career had provided. Gardening offered some solace, but physical limitations frustrated efforts. Working on grandchildren's furniture helped, but projects finished too quickly. "I feel useless," he confessed one evening, watching a cooking show featuring elaborate kitchens he'd once built. "Like I'm just taking up space, waiting for—" He couldn't finish the thought. "You're resting," I reminded him. "After decades of caring for everyone else, you're allowed to let us care for you." Sarah's twins became our greatest joy during this period. Every Sunday, our daughters brought the girls for dinner and play. James, despite arthritic fingers, taught them simple carpentry, helping them make birdhouses, teaching measurement basics, instilling pride in creating with one's hands. Read them stories, taught nursery rhymes, shared memories of their mother's childhood. "Mommy was just your age when she first helped bake cookies," I'd tell them, letting small hands mix ingredients while recounting Sarah's flour-dusted adventures. Michael's visits remained sporadic. Career demands intensified as partnership loomed. Dinner invitations were declined. Big trial starting Monday. Weekend conference in Sedona. Need to prepare for merger negotiations. The gaps widened alongside his professional success. Andrea rarely joined these visits, claiming pressure of her own partnership track. When she did attend family gatherings, conversations focused on legal strategies, real estate investments, or social climbing within Phoenix's professional elite. Sarah would catch my eye across the table, sharing silent understanding of how far our family's branches had stretched. Sunday dinners adapted. Sarah's expanding family filled seats Michael once occupied. His children's friends became regular attends. Art community members, fellow parents from school, neighbors who needed family connection. Our table stretched to accommodate all who genuinely wanted to gather. "Remember when Daddy built this table?" I'd ask the twins, running fingers along James's careful joinery. Every piece measured perfectly, every corner smooth so little hands wouldn't get splinters. "Grandpa builds forever," Maya would declare. "Seriously, nothing breaks Grandpa's stuff," Isla would add with certainty. If only that included bodies. James died on April 12, 2019. A heart attack took him quietly in his sleep. Peaceful departure denied dramatic goodbyes, but granting dignity to man who'd faced every challenge straightforwardly. I woke that morning to birds singing outside our bedroom window, reached for his hand as always, found it cool and still. The funeral filled Holy Family Catholic to capacity. Construction workers past and present filled entire pews. Clients whose homes bore James's craftsmanship shared stories of his integrity, patience, and skill. Women whose kitchens had become family gathering places credited him with understanding that homes housed more than people. They sheltered dreams, memories, and love itself. Michael delivered a polished eulogy, voice steady despite emotion underneath. He spoke of lessons learned, hard work's dignity, craftsmanship's pride, providing for family. But listening, I heard echoes of a son trying to reconnect with a father he'd gradually distanced himself from through success's pressures. Sarah's tribute was an art piece, photographs collected from clients showing kitchen details, cabinetry, trim work, arranged to form James's portrait. "Construction becomes art through purpose," read the caption. Beneath it, a quote from her father. "Building something that improves daily life. That's art worth creating." After James's death, Michael's grief manifested in action. He handled all legal arrangements efficiently, navigating estate details with professional competence. Wills, insurance, property transfers. He managed everything while I moved through widowhood's fog, grateful for his capability while knowing it was his way of processing loss, through control rather than feeling. "Let me handle everything, Mom," Michael insisted repeatedly. "Focus on healing. I've got this covered." But healing required different actions. Sarah understood this instinctively, staying with me for weeks, organizing daily life without taking over, letting me process grief naturally. She cooked meals, helped sort through James's things, sat with me in silence when words weren't needed. During this period, something crystallized within me. James and I had spent 45 years building, not just a life, but a philosophy of what mattered. His death couldn't erase that foundation, though our family's current reality might obscure its principles. Looking at before me, properties to sell, estate details to consider, future directions to determine, I realized James's workshop and tools had been sold with the business. His furniture remained throughout our house. His truck sat unused in the driveway. These tangible remnants reflected deeper inheritance, skills learned, integrity modeled, love for family demonstrated through countless small actions rather than grand gestures. I sold our family home in suburbia with pragmatic rather than tragic motivation. The large colonial, built for active family life, felt impractically vast for widow living. More importantly, its rooms held too many precise memories. Shower where James sang off-key every morning, garage corner where he'd organized tools meticulously, kitchen where we'd shared coffee before dawn and conversations after sunset. Instead, I purchased smaller bungalow in Roosevelt Row Arts District. The neighborhood's creative energy appealed to my need for new beginnings surrounding by life's vibrancy. Artist studios, independent coffee shops, community gardens, galleries, all within walking distance, encouraging engagement rather than isolation. Elena Ramirez, who owned the gallery across the street, welcomed me the day I moved in. "This neighborhood needs grandmothers," she declared, helping unpack boxes containing family photographs. Too many young artists barely feeding themselves. Someone needs to make sure they eat real food occasionally. Marcus and Leslie Holloway, who ran Corner Cafe, welcomed me with daily coffee and a steady stream of fresh muffins. They'd lost their own mother to cancer the year before and seemed grateful for maternal presence in their daily rhythms. My transformation surprised everyone, including myself. Instead of retreating into widow's grief, I found energy in newness. I signed up for docent training at Phoenix Art Museum, thinking it would be a pleasant distraction. By the third session, I'd fallen in love with sharing art stories, connecting visitors to beauty and meaning. "You have a gift for this," Dr. Patricia Whitmore, the museum educator, told me after watching my first solo tour. "You don't just describe artworks, you help people see themselves in them." Within 6 months, I'd advanced to lead docent, specializing in connecting contemporary art to historical context. School groups loved my enthusiasm. Older visitors appreciated my patience with questions. Younger art students found my insights surprisingly fresh despite my age. To Michael's bewilderment, I also took a part-time position as financial literacy instructor at the community center. Years of banking experience combined with understanding working-class economic challenges made me uniquely qualified. "Mom, you don't need to work," Michael protested during one of his quarterly visits. "Dad's life insurance and pension, plus your savings, leave you comfortable. You're almost 70. You've earned rest." "Rest from what?" I countered, surprising myself with the question's sharpness. "From learning? Growing? Contributing? Your father rested for 4 years and felt useless. I won't make that mistake." The community center students ranged from immigrants learning basic banking to single mothers budgeting for futures to seniors protecting retirement savings. Teaching felt like reclaiming purpose, not replacing James's companionship, but discovering identity beyond wife and mother. Sarah's family remained my anchor as life reorganized itself. The twins, now 3, brought chaos and joy to my tidy bungalow every Sunday. Sarah supported my independence while including me deeply in her children's lives. "Mom's really found herself," she'd tell Michael during their phone calls. "You should see her at the art museum, leading tour groups. She's like a different person, more confident, more engaged." But Michael saw change as abandonment of proper widow's grief. "She's distracting herself," he'd counter. "Still processing. She'll settle down eventually." His rare visits often included subtle suggestions about senior communities offering appropriate activities for women my age. "Pinnacle Retirement has an excellent art appreciation program," he'd mention casually, "and they organize trips to museums regularly." "I organize my own museum visits," I'd reply dryly, usually while working there. Our conversations emphasized this disconnect. Michael discussed investments, retirement planning, estate management, financial securities mechanics. I wanted to discuss the community garden I'd joined, the memoir writing class at the library, the neighborhood watch program I'd helped organize. When Elena recommended I join the Roosevelt Row Merchant Association, I discovered committees addressing homelessness, public art maintenance, small business support. These challenges connected to banking background while engaging community passion. "Barbara's ideas are always practical, but innovative," Antonio Morales, the association president, said during one meeting where I'd proposed a microfinance program for local artists. "She bridges the gap between numbers and needs." Life developed its own rhythms, morning walks through the neighborhood, documenting murals changing with seasons, afternoons at the museum or teaching financial classes, evenings attending gallery openings, community meetings, or dinner with new friends established through shared interests rather than family obligation. My home became gathering space much, as my parents had been decades earlier. Sunday brunches included neighbors, students from financial literacy classes, younger artists seeking mentorship, cultural center volunteers. The dining room table James had built extended with simple card tables draped in cheerful cloths. Mismatched chairs created eclectic charm rather than aesthetic failure. Jose Rodriguez, who lived 2 houses down, taught me to tango Saturday evenings at his small dance studio. "Every woman deserves to feel beautiful dancing," he declared, his courtly manner reminding me of my father's generation. Learning to tango at 62 felt simultaneously absurd and liberating. Moving to music's rhythm, following lead, expressing passion through movement, these seemed activities for younger people. Yet Jose's instruction encouraged finding sensuality within aging bodies, celebrating grace achieved through experience, rather than youth. "You dance like woman who understands life's music," he complimented after 6 months of lessons. "Not trying to be young, being fully yourself." Michael's concern about these activities bordered on disapproval. "Tango classes? At your age? What if you fall? Break something?" "Then I'll get excellent physical therapy," I replied. "Or I could sit home safely doing nothing while life passes by outside." His protective instincts conflicted with understanding. This awakening wasn't dangerous rebellion, but deliberate reclamation. Widowhood had indeed changed me. Not through loss's diminishment, but expansion's discovery. All those years supporting James's dreams, raising children, managing household, I'd forgotten dreaming for myself. Now dreams emerged. Travel solo to museums worldwide. Volunteer with Doctors Without Borders managing field hospital finances. Write neighborhood history collecting longtime resident stories. Perhaps even date again. Not to replace James, but to experience companionship's different expressions. When Sarah's 3rd child arrived in 2022, a surprise pregnancy resulting in James Mitchell Chen, named for his grandfather, Michael maintained his distance despite this family expansion. Work demands intensified as senior partnership loomed. Andrea's career advancement paralleled his trajectory. Their combined ambition left little room for family softness. Meanwhile, I deepened connection with existing granddaughters. Maya and Isla, now 5, spent every Wednesday afternoon with me while Sarah conducted art therapy sessions at Children's Hospital. We'd bake experimental cookies, create art projects, read books in English and Spanish, explore desert ecology, on walks. "Grandma's house is better than regular house," Maya declared one afternoon while frosting cookies decorated as desert animals. "Why's that, sweetheart?" I asked, genuinely curious about her perspective. "Because you let us make real messes," Isla explained seriously. "And nobody says, 'Hurry up, we're late.'" Their observations struck deeply. My home had become sanctuary from schedule's tyranny, place where imperfection created joy rather than frustration. Flour on counters became art. Dishes waiting in sink meant extended playtime. Matching clothes mattered less than matching spirits. As my 65th birthday approached, anticipation built differently than previous milestones. Instead of marking aging's passage, it represented reclaiming autonomy's milestone. 5 years. Since James's death, I'd transformed grief into growth, absence into opportunity, ending into beginning. Sarah called excitedly one Tuesday morning. "Mom, amazing news. I've been talking with Michael. Since your birthday coincides with spring break, he wants to plan something special. He's arranging everything." A flutter of hope arose. Perhaps this milestone would reconnect our fractured family. Perhaps Michael's success had finally allowed space for relationships over achievement. "That's wonderful," I responded carefully. "What's he planning?" "He wants to surprise you. Just keep your schedule open, especially the 2 weeks around your birthday." He says he's handling all details, making it spectacular. Days passed with unusual quiet from Michael's direction. No scheduling questions, no preferred restaurant inquiries, no travel preference discussions. The silence felt anticipatory rather than concerning. Surely planning surprises required secrecy. 2 weeks before my birthday, my phone chimed with group text notification. Mitchell Family Hawaii 2024, trip details. My heart accelerated. Hawaii. Michael had planned magnificent surprise. Tropical. Vacation celebrating 65 years. How thoughtful. How generous. How perfectly bridging our relationship's gaps through shared experience. I clicked the link eagerly, already imagining warm beaches, family dinners, quality time without work's interruptions. The itinerary loaded slowly on my phone's older model screen. Then it fully appeared. Flight confirmations, hotel reservations, activity scheduling, restaurant bookings. 2 weeks in Maui meticulously planned. Every detail perfectly arranged for traveling party members. Michael and Andrea, Sarah, David, and their 3 children. Even Andrea's mother, Judith Prescott, whom I'd met exactly 3 times in 14 years. A note reading, "Can't wait for this amazing family vacation." Excluded entirely. Me, the birthday celebrant, his mother. I scrolled repeatedly. Certain mistake obscured obvious inclusion. Perhaps phones received notifications separately. Maybe different thread existed specifically for me. But deep inside, sickening realization confirmed itself. Michael had meticulously planned family reunion, omitting the family member it supposedly celebrated. Sarah's enthusiastic response appeared immediately. "OMG! Hawaii! Need to buy swimsuits for kids. David, can you get time off work?" Additional responses followed. Andrea confirming flights. Her mother thanking Michael for inclusion. Nobody mentioned missing element obvious only to its absence. Me. The betrayal felt physical. Sharp pain beneath breastbone. Nausea rising. Hands trembling around phone documenting casual erasure. Not dramatic rejection through angry confrontation, but dismissal so complete it required no acknowledgement. In Michael's world, apparently, 65-year-old mothers existed as necessary sacrifices for successful lives, but not welcomed participants in celebrations. Their dreams, desires, worth measured solely by how thoroughly they enabled children's advancement before quietly disappearing. Setting the phone down, I stood at my kitchen window watching neighborhood mourning unfold. Artists hauling canvases to sidewalk displays. Jose teaching tango steps to elderly students in small courtyard. Marcus setting bistro tables outside cafe. Children walking to nearby elementary school where I volunteered weekly. This vibrant community, built intentionally over 5 years, represented everything Michael couldn't understand. People gathered not from obligation, but choice. Celebrations included everyone contributing value rather than meeting specific criteria. Worth measured through presence's quality, not absence's efficiency. Shock transformed gradually into clarity. Michael's exclusion wasn't personal failure, but philosophical verdict. In his perception, mothers served developmental purpose concluding with children's independence. Continued inclusion represented sentimentality incompatible with professional advancement's demands. But clarity sparked something unexpected. Not passive resignation, but active reclamation. If Michael valued efficiency over family, perhaps lesson required teaching through his preferred language, documented, quantifiable, impossible to ignore. Moving deliberately, I opened laptop and created new document. Invoice, maternal services. Rendered appeared across top. What followed detailed 65 years' worth of investments, time, money, sacrifice, support, itemized with banker's precision and lawyer's comprehensiveness. This wouldn't be emotional plea, but factual presentation. Not manipulation, but education. Not revenge, but revelation of what his efficient exclusion actually discarded. 24 hours of work produced document exceeding 30 pages. Statistical calculations, financial analyses, detailed breakdowns quantifying intangibles. Every category cross-referenced, each figure substantiated. all presented with professional executive summary Michael's firm might receive from corporate assessment consultants. The final total: maternal services valued at $2.3 million in direct expenditures plus compound interest and opportunity costs, provided concrete number for abstract concepts like unconditional love. But mere financial calculation wasn't sufficient. Document needed emotional impact matching professional format. I added section titled Non-Monetary Damages, listing items irreplaceable once discarded. 6 decades of accumulated wisdom available for consultation. Grandchildren's potential. Memories of great-grandmother. Family medical history, crucial for offspring's health care. Repository of family stories connecting past to future. Emotional support, surviving life's inevitable challenges. Role model demonstrating aging's possibilities. Beyond invisibility, final edition transform document from invoice to legacy letter. Re-evaluation period offered. Remaining undefined years of recipient's mother's life. Current status, estimated 15 to 20 years of potential relationship opportunity. Risk assessment, complete forfeiture through continued dismissal. I printed 3 copies, one for Michael's home, one for office, one for records. Tomorrow morning, while family discussed Hawaiian vacation details, certified mail would deliver mother's evaluation of son's most expensive mistake, thinking familial assets depleted after serving developmental purpose. That night, tossing restlessly, I heard James's voice in memory. Sometimes love means letting natural consequences teach what words can't reach. Michael had chosen professional efficiency over personal connection. Now he'd receive efficiency's ultimate: education, comprehensive documentation proving precisely what familial dismissal actually cost. Whether this receipt taught intended lesson remained uncertain. But at 65, I'd reclaimed voice loudly enough for successful lawyer son to finally hear his mother clearly. Tomorrow's certified mail would determine whether he possessed wisdom receiving its message. The certified mail receipt confirmed. Delivery at 10:47 a.m. the following Tuesday, right between Michael's typical morning meeting and his pre-lunch client consultation. I'd timed it deliberately, knowing his executive assistant would sign for important documents and place them directly on his desk. I didn't have to wait long for response. My phone rang at 11:32 a.m., Michael's office number displayed on caller ID. "Mom, what the hell is this?" His voice carried mixture of bewilderment and irritation. Papers rustled in background. "A bill? For raising me? Are you serious?" "I'm completely serious," I replied calmly, settling into my kitchen chair with cup of lavender tea. "It's comprehensive assessment of services rendered. You're the one always discussing everything in financial terms. I thought you'd appreciate seeing maternal investment quantified. This is ridiculous. You can't bill your own child for being a mother. That's not how families work." "Really?" "Because it seems like that's exactly how our family works lately. You evaluate everything by cost-benefit analysis. I simply applied same methodology to motherhood." Silence stretched between us. I could almost hear his legal mind processing unexpected angles of this development. "Look," he finally said, voice modulated to his professional negotiations tone. "I understand you're upset about Hawaii, but surely you realize Andrea's mother has different relationship needs. She lives alone in Boston. We see her twice a year at most." "I live alone too," I pointed out gently. "Right here in Phoenix, 30 minutes from your office, 2 hours from your house. Yet somehow Andrea's mother requires Hawaiian vacation while I don't warrant weekend dinner invitation. That's not—" He paused. "Mom, I send you everything you need. Our financial advisor handles your investment accounts. The insurance is premium. You have that excellent supplemental health plan. Money isn't the issue here." Exactly my point. Money isn't the issue. The issue itemized on pages 12 through 15 of the document: emotional availability, family priority, Basic courtesy of inclusion. Notice how those categories calculate differently than your financial assessments. More silence. I could picture him leaning back in his leather executive chair, probably loosening his tie unconsciously, as he did when situations frustrated him. Just like his father used to do after difficult client meetings, though Michael would deny any resemblance. "I'm not trying to hurt you, Mom," he said finally. "We thought this would be easier for everyone if we spent your birthday celebration separately. Less stress, less obligation to entertain multiple generations." Entertainer? The word escaped before I could modulate tone. When exactly did visiting your mother become entertainment requirement? Did family meals become performances? Have grandchildren become burdensome audience members? "You know what I mean," Michael protested. "The kids have specific schedules, dietary requirements, activities they need. Sarah's got her art classes, David's work deadlines. Andrea's mother has her medications, her early bedtimes. Trying to accommodate everyone's needs in one trip is logistically complicated. So the solution is eliminate the complication by erasing me entirely? That's not how I see it. But it's exactly what you did. You didn't invite me to offer different arrangements. You didn't suggest alternative celebrations. You simply removed mother from equation because 65-year-old women don't fit cleanly into luxury travel spreadsheets. The irony wasn't lost on me. We were finally having deeper conversation than we'd managed in years, sparked by my deliberately provocative action. James would have appreciated this strategy, forcing authentic communication through unexpected methods. "What do you want, Mom?" Michael asked, fatigue creeping into his voice. "Really? What would make this right?" "I want you to read the entire document I sent," I said simply. "Not skim it like legal brief. Read every word. Consider each calculation. Then decide what relationship with your mother is actually worth to you." After disconnecting, my phone screen displayed unread text messages. Sarah had responded to Hawaii thread. "Wait, is Mom not invited? That can't be right." "Michael?" Andrea had quickly followed. "Michael's handling the details. I'm sure everything will work out appropriately." The word appropriately carried volumes of coded meaning. Appropriate for whom? Appropriate by whose standards? Appropriately maintaining social appearances while efficiently eliminating inconvenient family members? I turned to my daily activities rather than dwelling in anticipation of next contact. That afternoon's financial literacy class focused on recognizing manipulative lending practices, topic suddenly resonant given family dynamics. My students, mostly working mothers and recent immigrants, appreciated candid discussions about power imbalances in financial relationships. "My daughter says I should just give her money for college," shared Maria Gutierrez during our discussion. Break. "No loans, no payback required, but I worry this makes her think money comes without work." "Family economics often reflect deeper values," I suggested. "The question becomes whether financial support teaches responsibility or expectation. Sometimes the most loving gift is requiring accountability." After class, Elena found me in museum, coffee shop reviewing my upcoming exhibition notes. "Barbara, you seem distracted today. Everything all right with family?" I hesitated before sharing recent developments. Elena listened intently while sketching on napkin, habitual response when processing information. "Family is funny thing," she commented after I finished. "We spend years shaping children, then wonder why they sometimes grow into shapes we don't recognize." Her sketch revealed simple family tree with cut branches and new growth. But trees keep growing even when parts break off. That evening, my phone remained conspicuously quiet. Sarah's supportive texts continued. "Mom, this is completely unacceptable. I'm calling Michael tonight." But Michael himself remained silent. The invoice had landed. Now came waiting period while its implications processed through logical analysis, meeting emotional reality. Wednesday brought unexpected visitor. My doorbell rang while I was preparing for afternoon tango lesson. Through frosted glass, Andrea's silhouette appeared, unexpected given our minimal direct interaction outside formal gatherings. "Barbara," she began formally when I opened door. "I hope I'm not interrupting." "Not at all," I replied, gesturing toward living room. "I was about to leave for dance class, but I have a few minutes." She perched uncomfortably on James's handcrafted sofa, designer handbag gripped tightly on lap. "Michael showed me the document you sent, the invoice." I gathered he would. "It's quite thorough," she admitted, almost intimidating in its comprehensiveness. "Thank you?" Andrea's perfectly maintained composure cracked slightly. "Look, I realize our approaches to family differ significantly. My own mother is difficult, high maintenance. Including her in significant events requires careful planning, specific accommodations. I suppose I projected those same considerations onto your situation." "I'm not high maintenance," I stated calmly. "I'm simply someone who exists. Someone whose existence Michael apparently found inconvenient to acknowledge." "Michael loves you," Andrea said automatically, then paused. "He's just compartmentalized. Work, family investments, social obligations. Everything has its proper place and timing in his organizational structure. And mothers have expiration dates in this structure?" Now Andrea's discomfort became palpable. "That's not..." She sighed. "My relationship with my own mother is complex. I've spent years establishing boundaries, managing expectations. Michael's observed this challenge. Perhaps he's overcompensated by maintaining distance. Distance is one thing. Erasure is another." "I agree," she said quietly. "Which is why I came here before tonight's dinner. Michael's taking us to discuss Hawaii plans. I want to advocate for your inclusion. But I need to understand what you actually want." An opportunity presented itself. Unexpected, olive branch from surprising source. "I want simple recognition that I exist as person beyond transaction. That contributions to family continued past biological requirements. That relationship with grandmother might benefit grandchildren regardless of travel convenience." Andrea nodded slowly. "I think I understand. Growing up wealthy, relationships often become transactions. I forgot families could operate differently until meeting yours, until seeing Sarah maintain connections naturally rather than strategically." "Different doesn't mean better," I offered. "Just different. What matters is conscious choice in how we value each other." She stood, straightening her suit. "I'll speak with Michael tonight. Perhaps Hawaii isn't impossible to reconfigure. Or perhaps different celebration could emerge that honors rather than erases." After Andrea left, I reflected on unexpected nature of evolution. Family dynamics shifted not through dramatic confrontations, but small recognitions occurring privately. Andrea's visit suggested cracks appearing in rigid structures Michael had constructed, possibly through examining 30 pages quantifying what dismissal actually cost. That night, my phone finally chimed with Michael's name. "Mom? Can we talk? Really talk this time?" "Of course, sweetheart. I spent the day reviewing your document, every page, every calculation." His voice carried unfamiliar vulnerability. "You're right, about all of it. I've been quantifying everything. Except what matters most. I'm listening. Hawaii isn't the celebration you deserve. It's generic, impersonal, designed more for Instagram than intimacy." Andrea suggested something completely different. What if instead of forcing everyone into one trip, we created multiple opportunities throughout the year? Quality time rather than quantity compromise. My heart lifted hearing not just acknowledgement, but alternative thinking. "Tell me more about this idea." "Well," he hesitated, choosing words carefully. What if I committed to regular visits? Not just quarterly obligation, but weekly lunch when work permits, weekend plans including grandchildren, involving you in our lives again rather than maintaining separation? That sounds potentially wonderful. But what changed, Michael? Really? Long pause before answer. Reading your invoice forced recognition of what I've actually lost. Not some vague mother-son relationship, but specific person. Someone who taught me everything I claim as success while I systematically excluded her from experiencing its rewards. And the invoice itself? Soft laugh. I'm not paying $2.3 million, if that's what you're asking. But I understand now why you calculated that amount. The point wasn't money, it was valuation, making visible what I'd declared invisible. Exactly so. Can we start over? Not pretend past mistakes didn't happen, but commit to different future. One where successful lawyer doesn't forget humble beginnings or loving mother who made success. Possible? We can certainly try, I agreed, voice catching slightly. But Michael, one condition. Name it. The twins need time with grandmother who dances tango, teaches financial literacy, and occasionally makes cookies for breakfast. Not just obligation visits, but genuine connection. Deal. That night, I called Sarah to share conversation's outcome. She'd already received Michael's apologetic call expressing regret for exclusionary planning and commitment to meaningful change. The invoice was genius, Mom, she laughed. Only way to reach Michael's logic-driven brain was through language. He respects data, numbers, consequences clearly demonstrated. Sometimes teachers must abandon lecture for experiential learning, I mused, thinking of tango lessons where doing taught more than describing. Next week's brought visible adjustments. Michael appeared for Tuesday lunch meetings at Corner Cafe, discussing legal cases while teaching him about my artistic neighbor's latest projects. We attended twins' kindergarten performance together, where Maya announced proudly to entire auditorium, "My grandma teaches people about money and art and dancing." During Memorial Weekend, Michael drove to my house with shocking announcement. "I'm taking week off. Haven't had real vacation in 3 years. Thought maybe you'd like to explore Arizona museums with me. Just us. Quality time without agenda, our road trip to Tucson, Sedona, and Flagstaff restored conversation I'd forgotten we could share. Museums prompted discussions about beauty, history, human creation. Desert drives led to reminiscences about childhood trips, dreams deferred, values worth preserving. Dad would have liked these places, Michael observed at Sedona art galleries. He understood beauty beyond utility. I lost sight of that distinction. Beauty serves purpose by lifting spirits, I reminded him. Your father built beautiful kitchens knowing they'd nurture more than just physical hunger. At Grand Canyon, watching sunset paint ancient walls, Michael revealed deeper truths. I see now how architecture of childhood shaped my adult structure. Everything I thought made me successful, organization, efficiency, measured outcomes, came directly from values you and Dad modeled, but I twisted them, choosing competition over connection. Values aren't fixed blueprints, I offered. They're adaptable principles. Your father's craftsmanship could create custom solutions for each home. Relationships deserve same flexibility. Hawaii plans indeed transformed. Rather than forced family convergence, we established regular gathering tradition. Quarterly long weekends where subset of family joined based on availability and genuine desire rather than obligatory attendance. First gathering occurred at my desert home, with garden party I'd dreamed of hosting. Multi-generational mixing, neighbors joining family, simple pleasures celebrated. Twins reveled in freedom of grandmother's space again, showing art projects to Andrea's mother, teaching tango moves to Uncle David, organizing impromptu poetry readings for assembled guests. Their natural acceptance bridged formality gaps separating adult relationships. This is what family should be, Andrea admitted over homemade chocolate cake, watching her mother laugh with Sarah's children. Natural integration rather than forced. Tolerance. But deeper change manifested gradually through sustained effort. Michael became actual presence rather than financial provider alone. He attended my community center classes, observing how financial literacy transformed immigrant families. Confidence. He sponsored art installation at neighborhood community garden, creating permanent beauty from temporary budgets. Most importantly, he began bringing his own questions rather than predetermined answers. How do you maintain optimism while acknowledging loss? He asked one afternoon after a particularly difficult case involving elderly clients' family conflicts. How did you and Dad stay connected while pursuing different paths? By remembering connection requires conscious choice, I answered. Not assumption or inheritance, but daily decision to remain accessible, vulnerable, present. 1 year after invoice incident, Sarah organized genuine 66th birthday celebration, combining elements representative of transformed family dynamics. Museum Gallery hosted exhibition featuring my watercolors alongside Michael's collection of architectural sketches, Sarah's sculptures, children's art projects. Room buzzed with impossible combination. Legal colleagues, art community, financial literacy students, tango dancers, neighbors, extended family. Michael's toast acknowledged journey completion and new beginning. To my mother, who taught me life's most expensive lessons cost nothing financial but everything personal, who showed that family wealth isn't inherited but created daily through presence, patience, and perspective. Later, observing assembled celebration, I caught reflection in gallery window. Not solitary widow artificially maintaining connections, but woman who'd reclaimed agency through unexpected methods. Sometimes maternal influence required uncomfortable tools, comprehensive itemization revealing what casual exclusion actually discarded. You did it, James's memory whispered through reflection. Made him see beyond numbers to what numbers represent. Legacy isn't what we save, but what we share. Standing there, surrounded by evidence of transformed relationships, I understood. Deepest truth emerging from challenge's catalyst. Love sometimes demands strategic confrontation before yielding authentic connection. Children require different teachings as adults, not through guidance but demonstration, not through instruction but by courageously claiming space in lives perhaps unconsciously narrowed by ambition's singular focus. Invoice for maternal services had been fully paid, not through money but through presence's renewal, recognition's restoration, relationships' thoughtful reconstruction. Most satisfying receipt imaginable. Sons rediscovered understanding that mother's worth transcends calculation, that family connections grow richer through conscious cultivation rather than defaulting to convenient distance. The lesson, Michael learned, would far outlast any tropical vacation's temporary pleasures. And that knowledge felt perfectly appropriate compensation for 65 years' investment in teaching one extraordinarily slow but eventually successful student life's most fundamental arithmetic. Authentic love equals continuous presence multiplied by genuine appreciation, divided only by willingness to maintain connection through life's inevitable complications. 6 months after my 66th birthday celebration, I sat in Dr. Patricia Chen's oncology office, absorbing news that would reshape our family's landscape once again. Pancreatic cancer, stage 2, caught early during routine screening. Treatable, the doctor assured me, though treatment would be grueling. Survival statistics floated through the air like butterflies I couldn't quite catch. We'll start with a modified Whipple procedure, Dr. Chen explained, sketching diagrams on her notepad. Then 6 months of chemotherapy. The 5-year survival rate with early intervention is approximately 40%. Numbers that would have terrified me before became simply facts requiring practical response. James's final months had taught me that dignity often depended on clear-eyed acceptance rather than desperate denial. When? I asked simply. 2 weeks. I'll schedule surgery at St. Joseph's. You'll need someone with you for recovery, assistance at home for at least 6 weeks. Driving home, I considered telling Michael and Sarah. The invoice incident had rebuilt bridges, but this news would test them differently. Cancer demanded physical caregiving, not just emotional support, but practical, hands-on assistance with personal needs, medical appointments, mundane household tasks. Would Michael, now maintaining bi-weekly lunches and quarterly family gatherings, handle bedpan duties and medication schedules? Would Andrea, who'd softened considerably but still maintained professional reserve, manage hospital vigils and chemotherapy sessions? At home, I brewed chamomile tea and called Sarah first. Her artistic temperament and previous nursing experience with her own father made her natural choice for initial conversation. Mom? Her voice held immediate concern at my midday call. Everything okay? I need to tell you something. My voice caught slightly. I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer this morning. Silence, then intake of breath. Oh God. Mom, how bad? Stage 2. Surgery in 2 weeks, then chemotherapy. The doctor says it's treatable, but I'm coming over. Right now. Don't move. Within 40 minutes, Sarah burst through my door, still wearing paint-splattered overalls from her studio. She pulled me into fierce embrace, then stepped back, hands on my shoulders, studying my face. Tell me everything, every detail. I need to understand exactly what we're facing. We sat at kitchen table where her grandfather had once helped me. Plan household budgets, where Michael had done homework while I prepared dinner, where James and I had shared thousands of morning coffees. Now we discussed treatment protocols, survival percentages, quality of life considerations. I'll move back to Phoenix, Sarah declared before I'd finished explaining. David understands. The kids can transfer schools. We'll figure everything out. Sweetheart, that's not necessary. Your life in Portland is flexible. Art transcends location. Family doesn't. I haven't told Michael yet. She nodded slowly. Want me to be there when you do? No, this conversation needs to happen privately first. That evening, I called Michael's cell phone. He answered on second ring, professional greetings softening when he recognized my number. Hi, Mom. Tuesday lunch is still on, right? I found that Thai place you mentioned. Michael, I need to tell you something important. Can you talk privately? Shift in tone immediately apparent. Of course. Let me close my office door. Sounds of movement, door clicking shut. What's wrong? I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer today. Dead silence. Then, what stage? Always the lawyer, seeking facts before processing emotions. Stage 2, surgery in 2 weeks. Jesus, voice rougher now. Mom, I'm coming over. Tonight. We need to discuss this properly. Tomorrow would be better. I need tonight to process everything myself. Are you sure? I can cancel evening meeting. I'm sure, sweetheart. Tomorrow. Bring Andrea if she's available. Michael arrived next evening sharper dressed than usual, as if professional armor might deflect medical reality. Andrea accompanied him, carrying elegant bag of prepared meals from some upscale Phoenix restaurant. We sat in living room where James's furniture still anchored space. Michael took his father's favorite leather recliner, claiming it naturally during visits these past months. Andrea perched on sofa where she'd made surprising confession leading to Hawaii reconciliation. Walk me through everything, Michael said. Legal pad materialized from briefcase. Treatment plan, doctor's qualifications, hospital statistics. Second, opinion requirements. I detailed Dr. Chen's credentials, St. Joseph's Pancreatic Cancer Center ranking, treatment protocol aligning with current medical standards. Michael noted every point methodically. We'll get second opinion at Mayo Clinic, he declared. Best facility for complex cases. I'll handle scheduling, transportation, whatever's needed. Michael, I interrupted gently. This isn't legal case. requiring multiple expert testimonies. Dr. Chen is highly qualified. Phoenix offers excellent care. But Mayo has wait lists and doesn't guarantee different diagnosis. I'd rather spend energy preparing for treatment than doubting capable doctors. Andrea touched Michael's arm. Barbara's right. Sometimes accepting excellent care beats pursuing perfect solutions. Michael's note-taking paused. Process of accepting mother's mortality facing him directly. No contracts could be written, no appeals could be filed, no discovery motions would uncover hidden cures. "What do you need from us?" he asked finally, voice carrying unfamiliar helplessness. "Practical support. I'll need rides to appointments, assistance at home after surgery, company during chemotherapy. Sarah's planning to relocate, but I'll take leave," Michael stated immediately. "FMLA allows family medical care. The firm will have to manage." "Michael, that's not necessary." "Like hell it isn't." Anger flashed, not at me, but at situation's unfairness. "Cancer isn't scheduling. Another lunch meeting. This requires full presence." Andrea nodded support. "I can adjust my schedule to help. We have excellent housekeeper who could provide additional assistance." "I don't need full-time nursing," I clarified. "Just consistent support. Someone to drive after procedures, help manage medications, ensure I eat properly during treatment." Michael's control instincts surfaced quickly. Within days, he'd created comprehensive care schedule, researched pancreatic cancer support groups, identified top-rated home health agencies, compiled questions for surgical consultation. Our pre-op meeting revealed Michael's transformation since invoice incident. He sat beside me in surgeon's office, not dominating conversation but translating medical jargon, asking clarifying questions, recording instructions for post-operative care. "The Whipple procedure is extensive," Dr. Wilson explained. "We'll remove pancreas head, part of small intestine, gallbladder, possibly portion of stomach. Recovery requires patience." "Define recovery timeline," Michael requested. "Specifics for mobility, diet progression, when mom can resume normal activities." Dr. Wilson appreciated organized questioning. "Hospital stay averages 7 days, 4 to 6 weeks before driving. 3 months for full stamina recovery. Chemotherapy affects timeline considerably." "And pain management protocols?" "Standard post-op medications, then adjustment based on individual response. Important to stay ahead of pain rather than chasing it." Michael scribbled notes furiously. I observed this focused attention, remembering similar concentration when he'd studied for debate tournaments, prepared for law school exams, pursued partnership track. Now applied to protecting mother rather than professional advancement. After appointment, he drove me home rather than rushing back to office. "Coffee?" I offered automatically. "Actually, yes." We sat at kitchen table, roles somehow reversed. Michael fidgeted with coffee cup, avoiding direct eye contact. "I'm scared," he admitted quietly. "I don't know how to do this, how to be what you need." Rarely had he shared raw vulnerability since childhood. Success had armored him against showing weakness, doubt, fear. "You don't need to know everything in advance," I assured him. "We'll figure it out together. That's how family works, learning through doing." "But what if I mess up? What if I can't handle seeing you in pain, dealing with medical minutia, managing all the practical stuff Dad would have done better?" "Your father would be incredibly proud of you right now, not because you have all answers, but because you're showing up without them." He finally met my eyes. "When Dad died, I handled everything legally, financially. But emotionally, I checked out, made you and Sarah carry that weight. You handled grief your own way. No judgment there. No, I ran away. Hid behind professional competence because dealing with loss felt impossible. I won't make same mistake this time." His determination carried forward into surgery day. Michael arrived early, having arranged private room, consulted with nursing staff, ensured my medical directives were properly documented. He stayed throughout. Procedure, pacing waiting room where Sarah found him after flying in frantically. "Any news?" she asked, still carrying carry-on luggage. Surgery started at 7 a.m. Dr. Wilson said 6 to 8 hours. They waited together, sometimes talking, sometimes silent, sometimes arguing about childhood memories to distract from present anxiety. Medical staff provided periodic updates, procedure progressing well, surgeon removing affected tissue. "Patient stable." When Dr. Wilson finally emerged at 3 p.m., they stood in unison. "Surgery went very well," he announced. "Removed all visible cancer. Lymph nodes tested negative. Best possible outcome." Michael's professional demeanor cracked slightly, relief visible on carefully controlled face. Sarah cried openly, exhaustion, and fear releasing through tears. Recovery proved challenging despite positive surgical result. First days blurred together. Pain medications creating fog, drains requiring constant monitoring, position changes necessary every few hours. Michael revealed surprising aptitude for medical caregiving. "Learned from watching Mom handle Dad's final months," he explained while adjusting my pillows. "Funny how those memories survived despite my best efforts to avoid them." He managed medications, schedules, understood drain output measurements, convinced me to attempt first post-op walks even when pain discouraged effort. His lawyer's attention to detail served medical recovery perfectly. Sarah provided different essential support, emotional comfort, familiar presence, artistic distraction. She set up recording equipment beside hospital bed, capturing my voice, telling family stories while consciousness permitted. "For the grandkids," she explained, "whether you're with us for 5 years or 50, these memories matter." Hospital discharge came after 10 days rather than predicted 7. Home presented new challenges: stairs negotiation, shower modifications, dietary restrictions. Michael had arranged everything: hospital bed delivery, shower chair installation, meal preparation service specializing in post-operative nutrition. "Too much?" he questioned, noting my surprise at extensive preparations. "Perfect," I assured him. "Thank you for anticipating needs before I realized having them." His face showed relief. "I keep remembering invoices non-monetary damages section. About missing opportunity to care for you properly. Won't make that mistake again." Home recovery spanned 6 weeks. Chemo started week 7. Michael arranged FMLA leave extending through my entire treatment schedule. His firm managed surprisingly well, perhaps because other partners finally stepped up responsibilities Michael had always insisted handling personally. Chemotherapy sessions revealed family dynamics' deepest evolution. Michael drove me to bi-weekly appointments at Phoenix Cancer Center, bringing work laptop but focusing primarily on my comfort. He learned to interpret subtle cues, when I needed conversation versus quiet, when nausea required immediate attention, when exhaustion demanded simple companionship. The waiting room became temporary family headquarters. Michael worked while monitoring vitals. Sarah sketched patients and staff members, later donating portraits to center. Andrea researched clinical trials and alternative therapies. Grandchildren rotated visits, coloring pictures, reading stories, providing bright spots during difficult days. Maya and Isla, now 6, handled grandmother's illness with remarkable resilience. They drew pictures of grandma fighting dragons, their metaphor for cancer cells, performed silly dances to make me smile, carefully explained chemotherapy to baby James using terms combining medical accuracy with childhood logic. "Bad cells are sneaky," Maya explained seriously, "but medicine soldiers chase them away. Grandma just needs rest while soldiers work." "And we're the backup team," Isla added proudly. Their mother's honest, age-appropriate explanations helped them process visible changes, my hair loss, energy fluctuations, altered routines. They adapted naturally, learning quiet play for low-energy days, celebrating small victories on better ones. Between treatments, life found new rhythms. Michael's office leave meant regular lunch dates at Corner Cafe, art museum visits when energy permitted, family dinners accommodating my dietary restrictions. He insisted on maintaining Tuesday tradition despite convenient excuses for cancellation. Cancer doesn't get to erase what we've rebuilt, he declared firmly. One afternoon during month 3 of treatment, we discussed financial planning, not with previous transactional distance but collaborative partnership. I'd been reviewing wills, trusts, estates considerations Dr. Chen encouraged patients to address. I've updated everything, I told Michael. House to be split between you and Sarah, with specific provisions for grandchildren's education funds. Mom, you don't need to. Yes, I do. Not because death is imminent, but because organization brings peace. Something I should have learned from you earlier. He smiled ruefully. Funny how cancer makes legacy planning feel less morbid and more practical. Perhaps because we're finally discussing it together, rather than as separate exercises. The conversation evolved into deeper reflection about family inheritance. Not just financial assets, but values, traditions, relationships. Michael articulated insights surprising both of us. I spent years trying to escape childhood values, thinking sophistication required rejecting simplicity. But watching Sarah maintain them naturally while succeeding made me wonder what I'd discarded unnecessarily. Values adapt, I offered. Your corporate law still helps people, just differently than small business or family practice would. The principles your father taught about integrity, quality work, treating clients with respect, they transfer regardless of practice area. Dad would have liked defending the underdog more than negotiating corporate mergers. Your father would have liked watching his son use legal skills to make difference, whatever form that took. Midway through chemotherapy, we reached pivotal conversation prompted by hair loss becoming complete. I'd resisted wig wearing, despite well-intentioned gifts, preferring soft hats or scarves. Michael hadn't mentioned appearance changes, but one evening during dinner at my home, emotions surfaced unexpectedly. I hate seeing you like this, he blurted suddenly, then immediately looked mortified. I'm sorry. That was honest, I finished. Thank you for saying it. It's just, you've always been so strong, so put together. This disease makes you seem smaller somehow. Cancer doesn't shrink people. It reveals them, shows what's essential after surface elements fall away. He studied me carefully. You don't seem smaller to me anymore. Just more, I don't know, real? Perhaps because pretense requires energy I can't spare currently. Authenticity becomes necessary survival skill. We discussed identity beyond physical appearance, value beyond productivity capacity, love beyond performance of strength. Conversations deepened by crises stripping away of superficial concerns. Andrea's involvement surprised everyone, including herself. Her mother had never faced serious illness, maintaining vigorous health through 70s. Witnessing my journey triggered unexpected caregiving instincts. She began stopping by with meals exceeding restaurant quality, gradually advancing to personal tasks like organizing medications, researching complementary therapies, even occasionally attending doctor appointments when Michael couldn't. I failed my own mother by maintaining distance, she confided one afternoon while helping sort weekly pill reminders. Thought professional boundaries protected us both, but watching your family's openness during illness, I see what I've missed. Connection requires risk, I agreed. Vulnerability makes pain possible, but also meaning achievable. Her legal mind appreciated this cost-benefit analysis of emotional engagement. Gradually, she included her own mother in family gatherings, beginning reconstruction of relationship shaped by duty rather than desire. Sarah returned to Portland after establishing my care routine, but flew back every treatment week. She'd missed months' worth of commissions but refused to prioritize art over family crisis. Money can be earned later, she insisted. Time with you now has no substitute. Her regular presence created interesting family dynamics. Chemotherapy. Waiting rooms became impromptu family reunions, discussing children's school progress, Michael's latest legal challenges, Sarah's exhibition planning. Fellow patients sometimes joined conversations, creating temporary community of shared experience. One elderly gentleman receiving treatment for lymphoma observed our group with interest. Never seen family support quite like yours before. Most folks come alone or with single caregiver. We're making up for lost time, Michael answered honestly. The man nodded understanding. Serious illness has way of clarifying priorities. Andrea overheard and added quietly, sometimes requires invoice to make priorities clear. We laughed at private joke incomprehensible to others. The document I'd created had become family legend. Reminder that sometimes love demands unconventional communication methods. Midpoint of treatment brought encouraging test results. CA 19-9 tumor markers decreased significantly. Energy levels improved gradually. Dr. Chen's cautious optimism grew more pronounced. Responding very well to treatment protocol, she noted during routine consultation. Continue current regimen through remaining cycles. Michael celebrated by arranging special lunch at restaurant he'd avoided since invoice incident. Place where he'd explained Hawaii exclusion with clinical detachment. Now we discussed future plans with genuine collaboration. After bye. Treatment concludes. What does recovery look like long-term? He asked, note-taking instinct appearing automatically. Monitoring continues indefinitely. Regular scans, blood work, checkups. Lifestyle modifications permanent. But normal activities resume gradually. Define normal, he requested, lawyer in thigh. Him seeking specifications. I touched his hand gently. Normal adapts to new circumstances. We'll discover what that means for our family. Dr. Chen smiled at interaction. Actually, family support like yours significantly impacts recovery success. Studies show that cancer survival rates improve with strong social networks, Michael finished, citing research he'd obviously studied. Emotional well-being affects physical outcomes. Precisely. This meeting crystallized transformation. Chemotherapy had catalyzed. Michael hadn't just supported my treatment. He'd educated himself thoroughly, engaged collaboratively, prioritized relationship over professional advancement. Penultimate treatment cycle brought unexpected visitor. My elderly neighbor, Mr. Peterson, whom I'd helped after his wife's death 3 years earlier, appeared in waiting room with homemade cookies. Heard you were fighting the big fight, he said gruffly. Mabel's cookie recipe always helped chemo patients at her hospital. Ginger settles stomachs. Michael stood immediately, offering his chair. Mr. Peterson waved dismissively. Save it for your mother. I'm just delivering sugar reinforcements. We visited briefly, sharing neighborhood updates. Michael learned I'd organized rotation system, helping Mr. Peterson with yard maintenance after his wife died, continuation of community support network established throughout Roosevelt Row. After Mr. Peterson's departure, Michael asked quietly, when did you start helping him? 3 months after we reconciled. Realized community service matters more when health becomes uncertain. You never mentioned it. Some generosity doesn't require announcement. He absorbed this lesson silently. Following week, I noticed Mitchell construction truck parked at Mr. Peterson's house. Michael had arranged professional repair work for aging porch, deck refinishing, gutter replacement. Following your example, he explained when questioned, community care creates networks supporting us when needed. Final chemotherapy session arrived on unseasonably cool Phoenix morning. Family gathered for what Sarah called graduation ceremony. She'd created commemorative artwork. Photograph of us at first treatment transformed into sketch showing strength, unity, determination. To Barbara Mitchell, Michael toasted with hospital cafeteria coffee, who taught us that fighting battles matters less than choosing which ones to fight with you. Andrea raised paper cup. To choosing family over fear. Sarah followed. To making memories between treatments rather than waiting for health to return. As chemotherapy drip completed, Nurse Amy, who'd attended every session, appeared with, "Small cake. We don't usually celebrate treatment completion. Seems like tempting fate. But your family's made our waiting room feel more like living room lately. Thought you deserved proper acknowledgement." Staff members had indeed become extended family during 6-month journey. They'd witnessed Michael's transformation from schedule-focused, executive to patient advocate. They'd watched Andrea's careful reserve melt into genuine warmth. They'd cheered Sarah's artistic contributions, brightening sterile environment. Barbara's cancer scared us. Michael addressed assembled group simply. But it also gifted us perspectives we'd lost. Family isn't just blood relation or legal obligation. It's showing up consistently, sharing vulnerability, choosing connection despite difficulty. Post-treatment monitoring began immediately. 3-month scans showed continued positive response. 6-month results confirmed sustained remission. Dr. Chen's cautious optimism evolved into qualified confidence. Statistically speaking, 5-year mark remains critical, she reminded us during review appointment. But current trajectory looks excellent. Continue surveillance protocol, maintain lifestyle modifications, and enjoy family time you're creating. Michael had returned to work part-time after my active treatment concluded, but maintained strict boundaries newly established. No weekend hours, limited travel, family dinner priority over client entertainment. Partners adapted to structure previously, considered impossible. Funny thing, he reflected during Tuesday lunch 6 months post-treatment. Firm didn't collapse without my 80-hour weeks, actually became more efficient when everyone shared responsibilities properly. Perhaps invoice taught more than intended lessons, I suggested. Invoice should be framed, he countered. Reminder that life-changing insights sometimes arrive through uncomfortable methods. Sarah's family had permanently relocated to Phoenix shortly after my treatment completion. Her art career flourished despite skeptical predictions about leaving. Established Portland network. Commissions increased as her work gained depth, exploring themes of impermanence, family bonds, survival's beauty. Cancer made Mom's mortality real, she explained to art critic reviewing her latest exhibition. But it also revealed timelessness of love connecting generations. That paradox drives my current work. Exhibition opening brought full circle moment. Gallery displayed pieces chronicling my cancer journey, sketches from waiting rooms, portraits of medical staff, abstract expressions of chemotherapy's emotional landscape. Central installation featured family photographs spanning decades, culminating in recent images showing transformation cancer had catalyzed. Michael delivered brief remarks to assembled crowd. My mother faced death by choosing life more fully. She taught us that legacy isn't about what we leave behind, but what we live between diagnoses. That family wealth accumulates through shared presence, difficult conversations, forgiveness offered, across past misunderstandings. After opening, we gathered at my house for private family dinner. Twins played with baby James in garden James had built, next generation enjoying great-grandfather's craftsmanship. Adult conversation flowed naturally. Between serious topics and lighthearted moments. Remember when Uncle Michael didn't want Grandma at Hawaii? Maya asked suddenly, with children's devastating directness. Momentary silence fell before I responded. Yes, sweetheart. But people can change their minds when they realize they've made mistakes. My teacher says everyone makes mistakes, Isla added helpfully. Important thing is fixing them. Very wise teacher, Michael agreed, catching my eye with rueful smile. Sometimes takes invoices to clarify mistakes needing correction. The twins lost interest quickly, returning to play. Adult conversation resumed with deeper appreciation for childish wisdom accidentally delivered. 1 year post-treatment brought excellent scan results and family celebration at Corner Cafe, scene of countless reconciliation conversations. Marcus, the owner, prepared special menu honoring our favorite customers' recovery. Neighbors, art community friends, financial literacy students rotated through offering congratulations. "Remember when you first moved to neighborhood?" Elena recalled. "So proper, so reserved. Look at you now. Community organizer, cancer survivor, family reunion coordinator." "Remember when she was writing that legendary invoice?" Marcus added. "Never seen someone so focused on laptop outside meal hours. Changed her whole family dynamic, apparently." "Sometimes proper documentation creates improper awakening," I responded diplomatically. Michael laughed easiest. "Best 2.3 million never spent. Though technically Mom's right. Cancer treatment probably exceeded theoretical invoice total. But unlike invoice, cancer demanded payment in presence rather than money," Andrea observed. "Cancer's shadow remained. Annual scans, dietary restrictions, energy fluctuations. But its presence transformed from threat to teacher. Medical appointments became family outings. Dietary limitations encouraged culinary creativity shared during weekly gatherings. Energy management taught prioritization of meaningful activities over busyness addiction. Approaching my 68th birthday, I initiated difficult conversation during Tuesday lunch with Michael. 2 years cancer-free felt appropriately symbolic for addressing mortality's practical considerations. "I want to discuss end-of-life planning," I began. "Nothing urgent, just responsible advance organization." Michael's initial discomfort was visible but briefer than previous discussions. "What specifically?" "Updated medical directives, burial preferences, final arrangements. Ensuring my wishes are documented clearly so family doesn't face decisions during emotional crisis." "Have you considered Phoenix Art Museum endowment?" he suggested. "Your docent service contributed substantially. Naming education fund might honor your impact." "Interesting suggestion. Though community center where I teach financial literacy could also benefit from educational endowment." "Why not both?" He smiled. "Your theoretical invoice didn't specify spending limits on parental appreciation. We discussed various legacy options, education funds for grandchildren, charitable giving plans, property decisions. Conversation emphasized celebration rather than morbidity. Planning final chapter allowed clearer focus on current pages being written. Family dinners had evolved into institution accommodating multiple generations' needs while maintaining intentional connection. Twins now helped prepare simple dishes. Baby James created artistic chaos. Adults shared work challenges and creative projects without overwhelming children with grown-up concerns. One Sunday evening, as we cleaned up together, family task reflecting, family values, Andrea made surprising announcement. "I've been accepted for board position at Legal Aid Foundation," she began. "Pro bono work helping low-income families with estate planning, housing issues, basic legal needs." Michael's raised eyebrows showed surprise. "When did you apply?" "Months ago. After watching Barbara teach financial literacy to immigrant families. Realized legal knowledge could provide similar empowerment. Family wealth expands when professional skills serve community need," I offered. Michael nodded slowly. "Dad's integrity, applying expertise for public good rather than purely profit. Values find different expressions, but maintain core purpose." As cleanup concluded, everyone participating without delegation or complaint, I observed family tapestry being rewoven. Michael had transformed from distant, successful son to present engaged father and son himself. Andrea had evolved from polished professional maintaining careful boundaries to community-minded lawyer, embracing family vulnerability. Sarah continued modeling authentic living while pursuing artistic expression enriched by family experience. The twins watched intently when adults discussed difficult topics, medical concerns, work stress, relationship challenges, learning that problems could be addressed collaboratively rather than hidden shamefully. Baby James babbled happily, absorbing love languages spoken through action rather than just words. Cancer might have retreated, but lessons endured. Family proved stronger than convenience suggested, more sacred than scheduling assumed. Love required courage facing uncomfortable truths, whether deliverable through 30-page invoice or hospital vigil presence. One Tuesday afternoon, 2 years after treatment's completion, Michael arrived at Corner Cafe with surprising announcement. Partnership voted unanimously. I'm new head of firm's pro bono division. Full-time position dedicated to public interest law. Michael, that's wonderful, but significant career change. Actually, career evolution. Using legal skills shaped by family values you and Dad instilled. Dad fixed people's homes. I'll help fix people's legal problems. Different buildings, same foundation. His decision reflected values integration we'd discussed throughout recovery journey. Success redefined as meaningful impact rather than maximum billing hours. Professional identity aligned with personal principles rather than external validation. Your father would be incredibly proud, I assured him. Pretty sure he's been proud, all along. I just couldn't see it while obsessing over proving myself through traditional markers. As we parted that afternoon, Michael hugged me goodbye, gesture now natural after years of practiced reserve. Thanks, Mom, for everything, especially that invoice. Walking home through Roosevelt Row, I reflected on family transformation catalyzed by crisis-meeting creative confrontation. Sometimes love's greatest gift arrives wrapped in rejection's painful paper, requiring careful unwrapping to reveal precious contents within. Cancer hadn't been gift exactly. Neither had Hawaiian exclusion. But both had revealed family's capacity for growth exceeding comfort zone's limitations. Both demanded choices between easy resentment and hard reconciliation. Both ultimately provided opportunities to reconstruct relationships intentionally, rather than maintaining them habitually. At home, I opened laptop, smiling at blank document where invoice maternal services rendered once appeared. Today held different purpose. Beginning to type, legacy document, Mitchell family. Values for grandchildren and subsequent generations, wealth measured not in dollars, but days spent together. Success defined by people helped, not positions achieved. Family strengthened through. Vulnerability shared, not perfection performed. Love proven through presence maintained, not presence provided. Relationships valued for quality of connection, not convenience of contact. Mistakes transformed into growth opportunities, not permanent. Failures. Cancer survived by focusing on living fully, not dying fearfully. Invoices issued only when necessary to invoice proper perspective. Tango danced as reminder that aging bodies still create beauty. Stories preserved because future generations deserve past's wisdom. Community served because giving. Back creates circles of support. Forgiveness offered freely because grudges burden carriers more than recipients. Presence prioritized because time becomes currency, illness can't devalue. Saving document in family shared folder, I knew future generations might puzzle over references. Mysterious invoice, Hawaiian rejection, tango lessons for grandmother. But perhaps puzzling would prompt questions. Questions would inspire stories. Stories would strengthen bonds connecting past to present to future. Outside my window, neighborhood hummed with life. Elena rearranged gallery window display. Marcus set tables for evening rush. Jose taught beginning tango students in his courtyard. Children played on rebuilt playground where Michael had recently supervised construction updates. Cancer's shadow lingered, regular checkups, maintenance medications, lifestyle modifications. But shadow proved less menacing than transformation required overcoming it. Family dynamics had shifted from transactional to intentional, performance-based to presence-focused, achievement-oriented to relationship-centered. The invoice had fulfilled its purpose, not through payment received but perspective shifted. Sometimes teaching requires unconventional methods. Sometimes love demands uncomfortable honesty. Sometimes cancer's greatest gift is revealing what truly matters before choices become impossible. Watching sunset paint desert sky in brilliant colors, I felt profound gratitude. For marriage that taught partnerships meaning. For children who tested love's boundaries before strengthening them. For grandchildren carrying forward values refined through generations. For community providing support when biological family proved insufficient. For illness revealing life's essential priorities before health's return became uncertain. Most especially for second chances, to rebuild relationships through intentional effort rather than inherited assumption, to love fully knowing mortality's eventual claim, to dance despite age's restrictions, to teach despite learning's continuation, to live purposefully regardless of time's finite constraints. Phone chimed with text from Michael. Family dinner Sunday? Want twins to help plan summer garden project. Thinking treehouse edition. Perfect timing, I replied. James would approve of maintaining building tradition. His response appeared quickly. Building traditions matter more than building structures. Love you, Mom. Love you too, sweetheart. See you Tuesday for lunch. Closing phone, I smiled at distance traveled between first invoice and current exchange. Sometimes family healing requires breaking before reconstruction begins. Sometimes mothers must send bills before sons appreciate costs of taking love for granted. Sometimes cancer arrives to clarify what matters most before appreciating moments becomes regretful retrospection. Walking to kitchen to prepare evening tea, I paused before James's portrait. We did it, my love. Built something lasting after all. Maybe not the simple life we imagined, but something deeper, stronger, worth every challenge and transformation. Evening light caught his photographed smile, seeming to approve this assessment. Outside, life continued its beautiful cacophony. Neighborhood preparing for night, families gathering for dinners, friends making plans for tomorrow. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, celebrations, connections. But for now, this moment contained everything necessary. Gratitude for choices made and unmade, appreciation for family found and refound, peace with past's mistakes transformed into present's wisdom. Setting kettle to boil, I hummed old song. James loved, one teaching that love's the only thing that grows stronger when given away. Outside, somewhere in Phoenix desert night, future awaited with infinite possibility. But here, now, in this kitchen where generations had gathered, where recipes carried more than ingredients, where conversations mattered more than conclusions, here was more than enough. Here was exactly right. The invoice had been paid in full. The receipt? Written in hearts forever changed by choosing connection over convenience, presence over pretense, love over limitation. And that, I knew with certainty, matching any medical diagnosis or legal document, was the most valuable transaction imaginable. Up. Next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.